Assalamu alaikum, my beautiful sisters. In today's video, I want to talk about a topic that is rarely discussed in Muslim families, generally in Muslim community, and that is the abuse some of us have been through in our parents' home. Emotional, verbal, and sometimes even physical abuse. Now, if this is your story, I would like you to know your pain is valid and you don't need to feel shameful for experiencing the things you experienced as a child. That is not your shame to carry. That is not your fault. And unfortunately, it became your burden that you grow up with. But if you continue to stay silent, you have to know one thing: you will never heal. You cannot heal in silence. You have to acknowledge what happened to you, and you have to work through it. Many of us grew up in homes where love was conditional. Our mistakes were taken harshly. Criticism was constant, and our feelings were completely dismissed. And if we tried to speak about it, we were hushed. We were told, that's your parents. Talking bad about your parents is a sin. Isn't that your mom? Isn't that your dad? Didn't they give you home, food on the table? What else do you want? They did their best. But the question here is, have they done their best? For some of us, they didn't. And this is the raw truth that some of Muslim people don't want to accept it. Now, why are people being triggered by this? People who had loving parents sometimes cannot comprehend that someone was abused by their mother or father in their childhood. I had friends, and when I would speak about something to them, they would say to me, no, that's not possible. My mother was never like this. How you mean your mom and dad were like this? It wasn't possible for you. Alhamdulillah, very good for you. But for some of us, it's very possible. What child would make that up? You have to be a psychopath to make those things up, right? Others are triggered because they recognize themselves, because they have done the same to their kids. So if you speak to them, of course they will be triggered. They don't want to hear the truth, because truth is painful. It hurts. So they continue to silence us. Hush, don't speak, because if you speak, it's a sin. And then what we do? We put a mask of obedient daughter, obedient Muslim. We just decide we will not talk about it anymore because people don't accept it. People find themselves offended by it. Yeah, but how do you feel? How do you feel when you know what you've been through and you were silenced all your childhood, all your life? And now when you're adult and you want to speak about that, people still silence you. How does that make you feel? Not good, right? When you silence yourself, you're not able to heal. And you don't have to talk about this to people who don't understand you. You can find a good friend or a life coach or a psychologist, or you can journal about it. But you have to work on your wounds, because you staying silent about that will never make you heal and continue with your life. And the most important thing you can do for yourself once you grow up is to heal. The main problem once you break the silence is that people around you will get offensive about that. And your family especially. Because in toxic families, the image of the family comes first. Your pain doesn't come first. Their image will always come at the first place. They will always say to you, things that happens inside the house should stay inside the house. You shouldn't talk about this to anyone. They will even try to convince you that those things didn't happen. They will say to you, you talk like you had the most difficult childhood. Didn't I do this? Didn't I do that? Yes, but you also abused me. Didn't you? And when you say that to them, they will deny it. Straight in your face, they will deny it. Because they have fake image about themselves. They think they were the best parents on this planet Earth. And even the ones who are aware don't want to face it. And that makes you hurt even more. Other reasons we don't talk about is because we have fear of judgment. We feel, with right, because that's what happens, that our community, our friends, our neighbors, anybody who could find out about it, would judge us. And the sad part is people do often judge the victim instead of the abuser. But that shouldn't be the reason for you to stay silent. That shouldn't be the reason for you to stay unhealed. Because those people who are judging you, and let's face it, most of them knew about the abuse. They didn't do anything when you were abused. I know when I was a child, the whole neighborhood knew about it. The whole neighborhood. Nobody did anything, ever. Nobody picked up the phone to call the police to say, oh, there is a house with 3 little girls inside and their father is beating them. Can you come and do something about it? Nobody did that. And they all knew about it. And I know for a fact they knew about it. Because some of them would see me tomorrow on the street and they would ask me, how did you survive the night? How did you survive the night? Why didn't you help me survive the night? Why didn't you do something about it? Why didn't you call the police? Why? The abuse is not happening in your house. It's happening in my house. But some people will say, oh, just forget about it because this is not our business. But you see, in Islam, problems of your neighbor are your business. Especially if you know in the house next to you there's some little kids being abused. That should certainly be your business. So don't walk around and say to people, oh, that's not your business. It is your business. You are human. I am human. It should be your business. If you stay silent on the injustice, it is like you are doing injustice yourself. And you are. Many kids of the abused parents are aware that their parents were also abused by their parents. That's what we call generational trauma. I call it generational curse. And they carry that trauma with them. But you see, the thing is, we cannot justify people by saying hurt people hurt people. What kind of justification is that? Because I was abused also, and I don't abuse my kids today. And I have 4 of them, 3 daughters and a son. But I don't abuse them. Because I learned from the abuse. You see, there's something Allah has given us as humans, and that is free will. We all have free will. We can choose who we want to become. And if your child doesn't bring you that amount of love and compassion to change yourself, to heal what was done to you so you don't do the same to your child, sometimes I'm asking myself, what kind of human being are you? If your child haven't awakened the love inside you to heal, you want to abuse your child because you were abused? How does that make you any different from your parents? Because I know parents who abuse, they will often say to you, if you face them with the abuse, they will often say to you, if you had my mom as your mom, you would see. If you had my father as your father, you would see. You see, I can understand that your father was even harsher to you, that your mom was more cruel to you than you are to me. But that doesn't change the fact that you are cruel to me. It doesn't change the fact. You didn't do the healing work. And your healing is not on your child. You have to do the healing. You cannot walk around and abuse your child by justifying it that your parents did the same to you. No. If you grew up abused, hear me out. You are not a bad Muslim for feeling hurt. You are not a bad daughter. You are not a bad human. As a human, you have every right to honor your pain. And nobody else honors it anyway. So you have to take the responsibility to honor your pain. Your silence will not get you anywhere. It will just deepen the wounds. It will make you to carry that generational trauma into another generation, to your kids. It's not easy to talk about this. It's not easy to heal. It's not easy to work on it, but it's definitely worth every step of the way. You owe yourself the love and the mercy you were not provided when you needed it the most, when you were a child. A kid who grew up with abusive parents is basically robbed from their childhood. And nobody can give you your childhood back. Nobody. But you can give yourself back the love that you needed to have. You can now do it for you. You can now do it for your kids and for the future generations to come. I'm making these videos to provide our Muslim sisters with a safe space for healing. If you find yourself in any of my words, please like, share, leave a comment, even a simple one as I feel seen. I don't need you to tell me your whole story, but I would like if we could create a safe tribe for healing. Let's break these generational traumas. Let's break the taboos that people are throwing on us. Let's heal together in a safe space. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.